everybody. So in this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about navigating our course. I know that teachers set things up differently and have different ways of doing things. So even if you're familiar with the D2L system, you may not be familiar with the way that I have structured my class. So I want to go over some of those particulars for you. So basically when you log in to our class, this is going to be the most important page. The home page has pretty much everything you need right there. So for instance, you can see over here the announcements. You're going to have weekly announcements on Monday that basically cover everything you need to get done over the week. They're like little snapshots pulling from the larger course schedule, which I'll show you in a moment. So I post these announcements and I include different resources in them, and they're really my primary way of communicating with you the expectations for the week. Over here, you can see that the first widget I've moved up is the calendar, because this includes all of your upcoming due dates, everything that's going to be coming for you in the near future. If you scroll down, the next widget is a link to our Zoom, so you can just click straight through if you ever need to meet with me. This is the Zoom link for any of the meetings and office hours. Anytime you need to speak with me on Zoom, if you email me and say, hey, can we meet on Zoom at X date? This is the Zoom that I'll be using. There's information about contacting me here. And then there's also a link to our course schedule. So this is most of the information that you're going to need. As far as assignment due dates go, that's typically something people have questions about. Assignments are going to be due Sundays at midnight, with the exception of the very last assignment, which is due on Wednesday because the semester ends on a Saturday. So we don't want to push it until after the semester is over. Every other instance in this class, your assignments for the week are going to be due on Sundays at 11:59 p.m. And you can see the actual dates written here. So if you're the kind of person who likes to write things out in a calendar, you can use the calendar information here. If you look at the course schedule, you'll also see, I'll click on it right here. This course schedule is going to basically explain the week, the things that we'll be doing, the activities or practices we might engage in during the week, and then the assignments are over here. So you'll notice that there's not a due date, but it does say here, all assignments due on Sundays unless otherwise noted, and the week that runs over here is the ending on a Sunday. So you'll know that the annotating assignment that's due this first week is going to be need to be turned in by August 28th. That's going to be the due date, with the only exception being down here, the very last week, where it clearly states that everything for this week needs to be turned in by Wednesday the 30th, because the semester ends on December 3rd. So you need to finish that by November 30th. Everything else, you'll know that if there's an assignment due, it's going to be due on the 20th, the last day of that week. And if that's not your favorite way of reading information, like I said, all of this is broken down specifically in the calendar widget as well. So if you go back to our main page, you can see there it says August 28th by 11:59, your annotating assignment is due. I'm also going to link it in the announcement each week. So if you look over here, you'll see here we are in week 1, defining critical thinking and annotating. I'm always going to have a section called weekly to-dos that's going to include the things that are due. Typically, I'm only going to include things that are over here on the calendar. The exception being, in order to do this assignment, you are going to need to read this article. So in this case, there's not anything more you need to do than just read the article. The actual thing that's due, which is typically what I reserve this weekly to-dos for, is going to be that annotating assignment. But in order to do this assignment, you need to read this. But you can see over here that this is your reminder, what you need to do this week. Turn in the annotating assignment by Sunday, 8:28 by midnight. And over here you can see August 28th, annotating assignment due. I have the way that I have it set up for these to be turned in is that you can turn them in late. So it's not as though it's going to close at 11:59. And if you turn it in at 12, or even if you turn it in at like 3 a.m., I am likely not going to give you points off. I really only worry about the points off being a day late when it turns into the next day. So when it really officially turns into Monday. But if for some reason you're stuck at work and you're turning things in at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to feel bad for you, but I'm not going to count you late. As far as the late policy goes, that is something that I mentioned in the announcement, the getting started announcement that this video is featured in. I do want you to make sure you read over that. I am just going to look at it really quickly to reiterate in this video because it has changed and been updated. So let me just pull it up. In the getting started section of the course, which is a good idea to peruse through here, I've pulled out some of the links you might need, like the schedule. There's a widget for that on the homepage, but this is worth looking through. If you look in the section for course information, there is a section called Course Expectations and English Department Policies that I've also linked in the Getting Started announcement. But you can see down here that formative assignments cannot be submitted more than 48 hours after their deadline. The reason being that the formative assignments you do in each unit are created to lead up to the summative assignment. So if you turn in a draft after you've turned in the final version of a paper, it doesn't really serve its purpose. So formative assignments can't be submitted more than 48 hours after their deadline. If you do turn it in that 48-hour window and it's late, you'll get a 10% off grade penalty. Summative assignments will only be accepted up to 1 week past their due date with a 15% off grade penalty. So you can turn in those major assignments. There will be one in each unit. You can turn those in up to a week late. Once they go past to being a day late, any point in that week that they're late, you'll get 15% off of the grade that you would have received. So that's a little bit different than last semester if you've taken an English class with us before. The next thing, I'm just going to go back to the home page. All right. The next thing I wanted to talk about is just this announcements area. So like I was saying before, I'm going to include an announcement every week that goes over the resources that you will need in that week. And it's going to contain videos and resources and steps for completing your assignments. It's basically a snapshot of what's going on over here in the course schedule. So if you look at the course schedule, basically what I've done is I've pulled out the things, the readings that I think are important. I have explained kind of in detail, because we're an online class, how we're going to complete these activities. And I have included information reminding you of what assignments are due. So a lot of the information that you're going to see in these announcements is pulled from this schedule, but I try to add supplemental things and resources, and I try and make videos for you to make the information a little bit more accessible, particularly since we are online. I do highly recommend you watch the videos. I know that there are videos linked in the course that are generic to the course. The videos I make tend to be specifically geared to the type of thing I'm looking for. So if I say my video, my walkthrough, I'm going to be going over demonstrations and examples that I want you to see. So I really recommend that you watch those videos. And I can kind of get a gauge of that because, like, for example, this video I'm making specifically for y'all, and I'm going to post it, and I'm going to post it publicly to my YouTube, so I'll know how many people are sort of checking in, which is an important thing, because sometimes if I notice that an assignment is not being completed in the way that I'm gearing you towards in the video, I might send out an announcement that's like, hey, I noticed only 4 people watch the videos, and I'm noticing people not doing so great on the rubric. Please watch the videos. So that's just a little reminder. The videos are very helpful in terms of understanding what specifically as an instructor I'm looking for. If you look over here under content, you're going to see a lot of the information that's listed here. I'm pulling, again, in that little snapshot, in that announcement. So there's more in-depth information over here in the content sections, but sometimes I find the content sections a little bit difficult to navigate. They're a little bit longer. There are some things that are optional resources that you may or may not want. So I tend to pull the information that you need from these content sections. So really, if you're checking the announcements and looking at the announcements, that's going to be where I pull all of that content information out for you to help you out. And you may notice that some of the content sections might be a little bit under construction. There may be a situation where it's like, your instructor will choose this or this, and I may not have decided yet because it might depend on our individual class, whether or not I want to meet with y'all on Zoom, or whether I would prefer to have you submit a draft. So that's just one example. So if you notice something like that, the content section is still an area where sometimes I'm still making decisions. But these week one little snapshots of what you need to complete in a week and the list of the resources should be really your kind of first go-to place to check out what's going each week. And I'll post those at some point every Monday. If I'm running late on a Monday, I will email you when they're announced. So let's say something happens and it's taking me until later in the afternoon, I will send you an email once it's complete. And I think that those are pretty much the things I wanted to include. Just the very last thing being that because I'm teaching a couple different sections of this class and for different campuses, one thing that's incredibly important this semester is to let me know your section number. That's those 3 digits after English 101. I'm teaching multiple English 101s, so please just let me know your section number in your email if you are trying to contact me, because it will help me to figure out which class you're in a lot quicker and get a response to you a lot quicker without me having to go and like look up which class you're in. That would be incredibly helpful to me. And that's pretty much what I have to say about navigating the course. Most of the information you need is right here on the home page when you log in.